Remember Tiger Woods' ex-wife? If you don't, let's remind you. There was a time when the world could not stop talking about the elegant Swedish woman who stood quietly beside one of the most famous athletes on the planet. When cameras flashed around Tiger Woods, she was always there, poised, reserved, and seemingly untouched by the chaos of celebrity life. Her name was Elin Nordegren, and for a while she appeared to be living a modern fairy tale. But in 2009, that fairy tale shattered. What began as a mysterious late-night car crash outside Tiger Woods' Florida mansion quickly spiraled into one of the biggest scandals in sports history. The marriage collapsed, the divorce made headlines around the world, and then almost as suddenly as she had become famous, Elin disappeared from the public eye. For years, people have wondered what actually happened to Tiger Woods' wife after the scandal and what her life looks like today, long before she became one of the most talked-about women in the world. Elin Nordegren lived a quiet life in Sweden. She was born on January 1st, 1980, in Stockholm, into a family that valued education and public service. Her father, Thomas Nordegren, was a respected Swedish radio journalist, known for thoughtful reporting, while her mother, Barbro Holmberg, built a successful political career and later served as Sweden's Minister for Migration and Asylum Policy. Despite her parents' professional achievements, Ellen's upbringing was fairly ordinary. She and her twin sister spent their childhood focused on school, sports, and family life in Stockholm. Like many young people trying to find their direction, she worked several small jobs while figuring out her future. She worked in a clothing store and even did some modeling, though modeling was never meant to be a long-term career. Everything changed when she accepted a job as an au pair in the United States. Elin moved to America to work for the family of Jesper Parnevik, a well-known Swedish professional golfer competing on the PGA Tour. Her role was simple: help take care of the Parnevik children while living with the family. It was supposed to be a temporary adventure abroad, but that decision placed her in the exact environment where her life would change forever. In 2001, during the Open Championship golf tournament, Jesper Parnevik introduced Elin to a rising superstar on the tour, Tiger Woods. At the time, Tiger was already dominating professional golf and becoming one of the most recognizable athletes in the world. Interestingly, Elin was not immediately impressed. She was reportedly dating someone else and showed little interest at first, but Tiger was interested, and he was persistent. Casual conversations gradually turned into friendship, and that friendship slowly developed into a serious relationship. At the time, neither of them could have imagined that their romance would become one of the most famous and, eventually, most controversial marriages. In sports history, when Tiger Woods and Elin Nordegren first met, Tiger was already a global phenomenon who had transformed the sport of golf. Television ratings soared whenever he played. Sponsors competed to sign him. And by the early 2000s, he had become more than a champion golfer. He was a cultural icon. Despite that fame, Tiger kept his personal life extremely private, which made his relationship with a Swedish au pair even more fascinating to the public. Their romance developed slowly. Friends later recalled that Elin seemed cautious and never appeared dazzled by fame or money. Over time, however, the relationship grew stronger. In 2003, 2 years after they met, Tiger proposed during a romantic vacation at a luxury game reserve in South Africa. Away from reporters and cameras, he asked her to marry him. She said yes. Their wedding in October 2004 became one of the most lavish celebrity ceremonies of the decade. The couple married at the exclusive Sandy Lane Resort in Barbados, where the entire resort was reportedly reserved for the event to ensure privacy for their guests. The celebration looked like something from a movie, palm trees swaying in the Caribbean breeze, fireworks lighting up the ocean sky, and one of the world's most famous athletes marrying the woman many believed was his perfect match. After the wedding, the couple settled into a luxurious lifestyle in Florida. Tiger continued winning championships and breaking records, while Elin maintained a low profile, rarely speaking publicly and mostly staying out of the spotlight. In 2007, they welcomed their daughter Sam, and in 2009 their son Charlie was born. To the outside world, the Woods family seemed like the perfect picture of happiness. But beneath the surface, serious problems were developing. For years, Tiger had carefully controlled his public image as a disciplined, focused athlete. What no one outside the marriage realized was that secrets were quietly building. In late 2009, those secrets exploded into one of the most shocking scandals in sports history. On the night of November 27, 2009, something strange happened outside the Woods' Florida home. Shortly after 2 a.m., Tiger crashed his Cadillac Escalade into a fire hydrant and then a tree just a short distance from his driveway. Earlier that evening, he had been at home with his wife and guests, including Rachel Ucatel, a New York nightclub manager who soon became the first woman publicly linked to the scandal. Reports suggested that Elin had discovered text messages or phone records connecting Tiger to Ucatel shortly before the crash, triggering a confrontation inside the house. What happened next has never been fully confirmed. According to investigators, Tiger left the house around 2:25 a.m., got into his vehicle, and drove only about 150 to 200 feet before hitting a fire hydrant and then a tree. Shortly after the crash, Elin reportedly ran outside and used a golf club to smash the rear window of the SUV. According to official accounts, she did this to help Tiger escape the vehicle. However, tabloids quickly turned the moment into a sensational story, claiming she had chased him with the golf club during an argument. Law enforcement never confirmed that version, but the dramatic image became one of the most famous parts of the scandal. Within days, the story grew even bigger. Multiple women began coming forward, claiming they had been involved in affairs with Tiger Woods. The number continued to grow, some reports suggesting more than a dozen relationships. Media outlets around the world covered every new detail. Major sponsors quickly distanced themselves from Tiger. Companies such as Accenture and AT&T ended endorsement deals that had once been worth millions. Tiger issued a public apology admitting to what he called personal failings, and soon announced he would take an indefinite break from professional golf. He later entered therapy to address his personal issues. For Elin, the situation was devastating. She'd been living a private life raising 2 small children, and suddenly she found herself surrounded by reporters and photographers. Tabloids published new rumors every day. Some stories claimed she had discovered suspicious messages on Tiger's phone, while others repeated the story of her chasing him with a golf club. The truth about that night has never been fully confirmed, but the trust in their marriage had clearly been shattered. Friends close to the couple later said Elin had been completely unaware of the extent of Tiger's behavior. By early 2010, the couple began divorce proceedings. Their marriage officially ended in August of that year. Both released brief statements saying they were saddened by the divorce, but committed to co-parenting their children. Behind the scenes, the financial settlement shocked the world. Reports indicated that Elin received roughly $100 million in the agreement, making it one of the most expensive divorces in sports history. Earlier rumors had suggested she might receive as much as $750 million, but those numbers were exaggerated. Even so, the settlement was enormous and included strict privacy agreements, preventing both sides from publicly discussing the details of Tiger's behavior. Despite the global attention, Elin never tried to profit from the scandal. She did not write a tell-all book or launch a reality television career. Instead, she quietly stepped away from the spotlight and focused on raising her children. One of her first major moves after the divorce was investing in real estate. 2011, she purchased a large oceanfront property in North Palm Beach, Florida, for about $12 million. The property included an older historic mansion, but rather than renovating it, she decided to demolish the entire structure and build a new modern home designed exactly the way she wanted. Before the demolition, she donated many materials from the house to Habitat for Humanity so they could be reused for homes for families in need. The construction of the new estate took several years, and nearly a decade later, she sold the property for around $28.6 million, more than doubling her investment. Elin also returned to school. Despite having young children and financial security, she decided to pursue higher education and enrolled at Rollins College in Florida, where she studied psychology. In 2014, she graduated with a bachelor's degree and even received recognition for outstanding academic achievement. Her personal life slowly moved forward as well. Over the years, she was linked to several relationships, including businessman Jamie Dingman and billionaire executive Chris Klein. Later, she began a relationship with former NFL player Jordan Cameron. In 2019, Elin gave birth to another child, expanding her family beyond the 2 children she shares with Tiger Woods. Interestingly, despite their difficult history, Elin and Tiger eventually developed a respectful co-parenting relationship. Over time, the anger faded, and today, they are often seen attending events for their children together, especially golf tournaments involving their son Charlie, who has shown impressive talent in the sport that made his father famous. For many people who followed the scandal years ago, this peaceful relationship between the former couple is one of the most surprising outcomes of the entire story. More than a decade after the scandal that once dominated headlines, Elin Nordegren lives a life that is dramatically different from her years in the spotlight. She remains very private, living in Florida and focusing on raising her children and spending time with her family. She rarely gives interviews and has never attempted to build a public brand around her past. Financially, she remains very secure, with estimates placing her net worth well above $200 million thanks to the divorce settlement and smart investments. She hasn't dramatically reinvented herself or sought fame again. Instead, she simply moved forward, built a quiet life, and left the drama behind. In many ways, that quiet strength may be the most remarkable part of her story. After being at the center of one of the most public celebrity scandals in modern sports history, she managed to do something very few people ever managed to do: walk away and move on. For many people who followed the scandal years ago, the most surprising part of the story is how peacefully things eventually settled between Tiger Woods and Elin Nordegren. In the years immediately after their divorce, it would have been easy to assume the two would remain distant or hostile toward each other. After all, the breakup had been one of the most public and painful celebrity separations in modern sports history. But time has a way of changing perspectives. As their children grew older, both Tiger and Elin realized that maintaining a healthy relationship as co-parents was more important than holding on to the anger of the past. Gradually, they began appearing together at school events, family gatherings, and especially golf tournaments involving their son, Charlie. Observers noticed that the tension that once defined their relationship seemed to fade, replaced by something calmer and more respectful. Today, their co-parenting relationship is often described as friendly and supportive. Tiger himself has spoken publicly about the mistakes he made during that period of his life, acknowledging that the scandal hurt many people, especially his family. Over time, both he and Elin seem to have focused less on what went wrong and more on what matters now: their children. Their daughter Sam and their son Charlie have grown up largely outside the chaos that once surrounded their parents. Charlie, in particular, has attracted attention because of his impressive golfing ability at such a young age. When he competes in junior tournaments, both of his parents are often seen nearby, watching proudly from the sidelines. Meanwhile, Elin has continued to live the kind of life she appeared to value even before fame found her: quiet, private, and centered around family. Although her divorce settlement left her extremely wealthy, she has never embraced the celebrity lifestyle many people expected. Instead, she spends most of her time raising her children, managing her investments, and focusing on her personal life. Friends who have spoken about her over the years often describe her as grounded and thoughtful, someone who prefers normal routines over public attention. Her relationship with former professional football player Jordan Cameron brought another new chapter into her life. The couple built a family together, and in 2019, she welcomed another child. Despite the attention that still occasionally surrounds her name, Elin has successfully built a life that exists largely outside the constant glare of celebrity media. Unlike many people who become famous through scandal, she never attempted to extend her time in the spotlight. There were no reality shows, no memoir exposing private details. and no attempt to turn her past into entertainment. In many ways, that decision shaped how the public now views her story. Rather than being remembered only as the woman at the center of a massive scandal, she has gradually come to be seen as someone who handled an incredibly difficult situation with dignity. While the world continued debating Tiger Woods' career and legacy, Elin quietly focused on building a stable life for herself and her children. More than 15 years have passed since the night of the mysterious car crash that started the scandal. The headlines that once dominated every news channel have faded into history. Tiger Woods eventually returned to professional golf and even achieved one of the greatest comebacks in sports. But Elin's story moved in a completely different direction. Instead of chasing fame or trying to rewrite the past, she chose something much simpler: privacy, family, and personal growth. Today, when people occasionally catch glimpses of her in photographs or at family events, the same question often comes up again. What became of Tiger Woods' ex-wife after everything that happened? The answer is surprisingly simple. She built a peaceful life away from the spotlight, focused on raising her children and moving forward. After enduring one of the most public betrayals in modern celebrity history, she managed to do something remarkably rare in that world. She stepped away from the drama, refused to let the scandal define her future, and quietly created a new life on her own terms as the years continued to pass. The intense curiosity surrounding Elin Nordegren slowly faded. The media that once followed her every move eventually shifted its attention elsewhere. For Elin, that change was exactly what she had wanted all along. After living through the overwhelming attention that followed the scandal involving Tiger Woods, she seemed determined to build a life defined by stability rather than publicity. Friends and people close to her have occasionally described her as someone who values calm routines, family time, and personal privacy far more than fame or public recognition. Her focus has remained firmly on her children. Raising Sam and Charlie was always her highest priority, especially after the divorce. While both parents share responsibility for their upbringing, Elin has played a central role in creating a stable environment for them as they grew up. Over the years, she has been seen attending school activities, sporting events, and family gatherings, often keeping a very low profile despite the lingering public interest in her life. Even when cameras occasionally capture her at golf tournaments where Charlie competes, she tends to stay out of the spotlight, quietly supporting her son from the sidelines. Charlie Woods, in particular, has attracted growing attention as a young golfer. Many fans of the sport believe he has inherited his father's natural talent, and videos of him playing alongside Tiger have circulated widely online. During junior tournaments and exhibition events, the resemblance between father and son on the golf course is often striking. Yet despite the attention Charlie receives, Elin has consistently tried to maintain a sense of normalcy for her children, encouraging them to focus on their education and personal growth rather than celebrity status. Financially, Elin has remained in an extremely comfortable position. The divorce settlement she received years earlier provided a strong foundation, but she has also made several smart financial decisions since then. Real estate investments have proven especially successful, including the sale of her oceanfront Florida property for significantly more than she originally paid. These investments, combined with careful financial management, have helped her build a net worth estimated to be well over $200 million. Despite that level of wealth, she has never displayed the extravagant public lifestyle often associated with celebrity fortunes. Instead of becoming a constant presence at high-profile events or luxury gatherings, she has chosen a quieter existence centered around her home life and close relationships. Those who have encountered her in recent years often say she appears relaxed, confident, and content far removed from the stress and media frenzy that once surrounded her name. Her relationship with Jordan Cameron also added a new layer of happiness to her personal life. Cameron, who previously played in the National Football League, transitioned away from professional sports after his career and focused on family life as well. Together, they built a household that blended their children and created a supportive environment away from constant media attention. When Elin welcomed another child in 2019, it marked the beginning of a new chapter. that symbolized how far she had moved beyond the painful period that once defined her public story. Meanwhile, Tiger Woods' own journey took many twists and turns. After stepping away from golf during the height of the scandal, he eventually returned to the sport and worked to rebuild both his career and his reputation. Years later, his remarkable victory at the 2019 Masters tournament became one of the most celebrated comebacks in sports history. Although their marriage had ended long before that moment, the respectful relationship between Tiger and Elin meant that both of them had found ways to move forward with their lives while still supporting their children together. Looking back, now the entire story feels very different from how it once appeared in the headlines. At the height of the scandal, it seemed impossible that life could ever return to normal for the people involved. The media coverage was relentless, and every new rumor or revelation dominated news cycles around the world. Yet time has a way of reshaping even the most dramatic events.